Good morning, students. So, welcome to the next lesson. We are talking about federalism, chapter 2 of democratic politics part. Okay. Before this, let me once again sum up what you studied in the last lesson. The lesson number 1, that is, we are talking about power sharing. In the power sharing, we studied power is shared among the various organs of the government, that is legislature, executive, judiciary. We also studied about power sharing among the different levels of the government. What is the levels of the government we studied? That is central government, state government and local self-government. We also studied the principle of majoritarianism. Yes, can you recollect which country? Yes, the majoritarianism principle is followed by Sri Lanka. We also studied the principle or the policy of accommodation. Policy of accommodation is followed by which country? That is Belgium. Yeah, we studied about policy of accommodation in Belgium, majoritarian principle in Sri Lanka. We also studied what are the reasons or why the power sharing is desirable or important. That is what we are talking about. Why power sharing is desirable. And we also studied moral reasons, prudential reasons for power sharing. So power sharing we studied in previous chapter. Let us move to the next chapter. That is, we are talking about federalism. Federalism. The moment when I speak about federalism, definitely those are big fans of football. You may be heard some of the names like Federation, Union, Federation Cup, Football Federation. So this word federation is not new to us. We are listening to this word federation in our day-to-day life. Football Federation of India. So federation. Okay, Milk Federation of India. There may be a lot of examples where you can see the federation. Okay, so by now maybe you got a rough idea. That is what is called federation. The word federation means union or coming together. Federation is union or coming together. So federalism, associate federalism with that. Federalism is an ideology. So federalism is an ideology which generally associated with the union or bringing together of the states. That is called federation or federalism. So federalism or federation is a concept which is generally you can see in a democratic form of government. So I hope you understood what is the meaning of federation. We will go in detail about this. Okay. Meaning of federalism. Nearly 3 important points are given here. Federalism is a system of government in which the power is divided between central authority and various constituent units of the country. This is the meaning. First meaning, federalism is a system of government. So federalism also is a system of government in which the power is divided between central authority. Let us take example of India. In India, we have federal model government. India is an example for federalism. What type of federalism we will study in the later part of this chapter. But for time being, understand India is a federalism because in India we have the central divided into central authority. Which is the central authority in India? That is central government. Which, as well as in India, you can see constituent units of the country. Take for example Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh. All these states have their own independent government. So when there is an independent government in the state level, when there is a central government in central level, it is very clear that there are 2 sets of government. One set of government in central authority. That is in India we have Government of India, and each state in India have their own independent local governments. That is what we are talking about. Various constituent units of the between central authority and various constituent units of the country. This is the first one. Second, federation we can find two levels of government, one to protect the national interest, the other one to protect regional interest. Now, don't stick on to what is written here. In federation, usually, that means generally in federation, we can find two sets of government. Just now I explained you one set of government in India, that is called Government of India. Government of India is also called as a national government. So what is the work of national government? National government work is to protect the national interest. Take for example, present situation. There are several people who migrated from India or gone on a tourist visa or on education purpose to the different countries. Now, many Gulf countries are facing the COVID pandemic. So, now imagine a situation, already the government of India started a lot of missions including Vande Bharat mission. In Vande Bharat mission, what is the work of Vande Bharat mission? That the Indian citizens who are in different countries, who wish to come back to India. So, whose responsibility to bring them back? It is the responsibility of national government, because once our citizens are away from our country, then it is India's responsibility to protect the interest of our citizens in other nations. That's why Government of India started Vande Bharat mission. So as a result, thousands of Indian citizens who were in a different countries safely coming back. Now, the next one you think. Once these citizens are arrived in India, then whose responsibility to take further care? That is the responsibility of state government. That's what. Once these citizens arrived in India, they are deported or sent to the respective states. Now the respective state has to do quarantine. They have to take the COVID test and they have to give enough care to these people because they belong to that particular state. Now try to understand this point. One, the national government protects the national interest. Definitely, the government of India is trying to protect the national interest of the country. At the same time, the state government tries to protect regional interest. Regional interest means interest of that particular area. Okay, I'll give one more example. Take for example, now you may be watching in the newspaper, watching the TV that some tension is between that Indo-China border. This tension between Indo-China border, who has to settle? Karnataka government? Kerala government? Andhra government? No, definitely it is a work of central government. That is the national interest. Now imagine a situation in Kerala, large number of Bihari as well as people from Orissa, they are all migrated to Kerala to work and other places. Now, who has to take care of these people? It is a work of Bihar and Orissa government. The Bihar and Orissa government should ask the central government to send lot more trains so that all these are safely back to their respective states. So protecting the interest of Bihari or Oriya person is the responsibility of regional government. That is what we are talking about, protection of regional interest. So this is the second. Third, both government enjoy their power independently. Here, now don't compare this feature with the Indian because there is slight difference. When I explain further, I will explain. But at present, try to understand. Whenever there is a government in the center, there is a government in the state, both government work independently. That means central government is free to work in its own jurisdiction and state government also free to work in its own jurisdiction or area. I hope you are able to understand. I sum up once again the meaning of federalism. Federalism is nothing but division of power between state government and the central government. Division of power between state government and central government and the central government or the national government protect the interest of the nation, regional government protect the interest of the region. This is to be simple. Let us move to the next major topic, that is features of federalism. Whenever we speak about federalism or federation, there are two types of federation. One is coming together federation. The second one is holding together federation. That we will study. Coming together federation. What do you mean coming together? Coming together means each state of that particular country happily they are together without any external force. That is called coming together federation. Holding together federation. Holding together federation means each units are brought forcefully or with some external force and somebody is controlling those units. They are called as holding together. Holding. Imagine you are playing a basketball or football. You yourself try to hold the ball with you so that the opponent will not have any goals. Holding means forcefully you hold that particular ball. The same way, in a holding together federation, central government controls, holds the federating units. That's called holding together federation. This we will study further when we move with this chapter. Let us move to the features. The first feature, there are two or more levels of government. If there is a federation, definitely minimum two governments are must. Now let us understand when we speak about federation, two government. What is the opposite of federation? Or the opposite of federation is unitary. Unitary means uni means one. So unitary means one government. So England is an example for unitary government and there is no state government. That is called unitary form of government. So in a federation, what is the minimum thing that there should be two minimum or more levels of government? Let us take the example of India. We have two or three. Yeah, we have three. That is, come on, that is central government. Yeah, one more, state government. This is the third one. Yesterday I explained in the previous chapters. That is local self-government. That's called Panchayat Raj. So, in a federation, there may be a two government, that is central government and state government, or there may be more, that is central, state and local self-government. So, this is the first feature. The second feature, each government enjoys its own jurisdiction in matters of legislation. Now, jurisdiction, this word may be new to you. Jurisdiction is generally a power or an area of work. For example, imagine a situation where the government of India, today it is of course it is 30th of May, tomorrow is 31st. Imagine if the government of India on 31st May midnight says that from tomorrow onwards, that means 1st June onwards, there is no lockdown in the country. Okay, this law applicable for whom? Central government, people of Karnataka, or people of Kerala, or to the entire nation? If this law is passed by the central government, this is applicable for the entire nation. That is what we are talking about. Jurisdiction area. Imagine today, Karnataka government declared that there is no curfew, Sunday curfew. Now, when Karnataka government declared there is no Sunday curfew, jurisdiction of this law is there only to Karnataka state, not to other states. That is what we are talking about. Jurisdiction. Jurisdiction means area of power. That is called jurisdiction. So each government enjoys its own jurisdiction in matters of legislation, law making, and taxation, administration. Take for example, if central government imposed tax, that is, for example, income tax. Income tax is applicable for all those irrespective of any state. Administration. Administration also I explained you. The law passed by the central government applicable for all. So like that, here it is very clearly said that taxation, administration, passing of law is clearly given separately for each government. That is what we are talking about, jurisdiction. Third, jurisdiction of each government is constitutionally guaranteed. This is very important. Okay, take for example, you want to go out from your home. Okay, the moment you are out, somebody may ask you, who permitted you to go out? Then you definitely will say your parents' name or someone's name. Why you say? Because when you say my father or my mother permitted me to go out, that means you got an authority from someone. Okay, like that, government gets authority from Constitution. Constitution is a document which is supreme above the government. So who gives power to the government? Power to the government is given by the Constitution. Power to the national government, power to the state government, given by the Constitution, and not only given, it is guaranteed. Constitution says your powers are guaranteed. So power is guaranteed by the Constitution. Fourth, the fundamental provisions of the Constitution cannot be changed after the consent of the regional government. Once again, read. The fundamental provisions of the Constitution can be changed only after the consent of regional government. Whenever we change ourselves, this is called a simple change. When the Constitution is changed, what is the word used for that? Anybody? Can you guess? The word is amendment. Amendment is changing of Constitution. Now, in class 8 or 10, in the last year 9 and all, I explained you preamble of Indian Constitution. Isn't it? You remember? Preamble starts, we the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Okay, these are all ideals of Indian Constitution. Now, if central government wants to change the major ideals of the Indian Constitution, then central government alone cannot change it. It should get support from at least 50% of the state government should support. So that even in changing of the Constitution, central government is not only powerful, it is also there is a some say or control to the state government. So even the state government also got a power in changing the basic provisions of the Constitution. This basic provisions of the Constitution we will study detail in the third chapter. Fifth one. The highest court acts as an umpire to solve the dispute arise in the different levels of the government. We have n number of examples where there was a Kaveri water dispute between Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, even Kerala. Kaveri water dispute definitely solved by the water tribunal in the recent days, but during the crisis, this case is generally dealt by the highest court of appeal, that is called Supreme Court. So, when there is a dispute between central government and state government or regional government, there is always an highest court who is above these two governments, and that court will solve the problems in the different levels. Next one, source of revenue for each level of government is clearly specified to ensure financial autonomy. Source of revenue for each level of government. Take for example, we are paying income tax. Income tax is a revenue given to central government. I am teacher by profession. I am paying profession tax. This profession tax goes to state government. You have land. Your house, your buildings, you are paying building tax, land revenue. This goes to state government. So every tax, this is clearly specified that which tax is going to which government. That is mentioned very clearly by the constitution, so that there should not be any misunderstanding between the governments. Coming to the final. Thus, to sum up, federal system has a dual objectives. What is the purpose of federal form of government? The objective of federal form of government are two. What is the objective? One objective is to promote and safeguard unity of the country. Country is the prime objective of a central government. So, national government protects the unity of the country. But at the same time, regional government definitely takes very important care about the regional area or the problems of the regional people. Now, so that federal system of government protects the interest of the country, at the same time gives importance to regional diversity. Means regional diversity is very well appreciated, so that there will not be a rift between central government and state government. I hope you have understood the features of federation. Okay.